So I've been happily married for a little over 30 years. I've been one to get things heated up a little bit again, and my wife is pretty much not interested in that anymore. Most days I'll come home, and I've pretty much been replaced by a tablet and a cell phone.
Correct. The thing that concerns me the most at this point is what's going on? What's going on? This is John with the Dr. John Delony Show. Taking your calls from all over the planet on your mental and emotional health, your relationships, whatever you got going on in your life. I'm just teasing this. Humongous news. A few weeks ago, I launched the Together app it's in the App Store, Together by Dr. John Delony. It's an app for your marriage. I'm not going to say anything else about it, but you can go get it right now. It's intentionally inexpensive. It's intentionally awesome. And we've run thousands of people through it already, and it'll change your marriage. Go check it out in the App Store. All right, let's go out to Pittsburgh and talk to Paul. What's up, Paul?
Hey, John. How are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for taking my call this morning.
Of course, man. Thanks for calling in, my brother. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine, but I have a question for you. So I've been happily married for the most part to my wife for a little over 30 years. We're financially well off. We've followed Dave's plan for our entire marriage, raised 3 kids who are now out of the house and being contributing members of society. The question is that since we've become empty nesters, I've been one of wanting to try to get back to maybe a little bit more romance, maybe get things heated up a little bit again, and my wife is pretty much not interested in that anymore.
How have the conversations gone?
Not very well. I mean, it's, I try to do the things that, try to woo my wife again, back to our old dating years where try to have date nights, go out to dinner, movies, concerts, that kind of thing. Even gone on trips to Europe and try to rekindle things, get things going. But every time I bring up the thought of us being together again, she kind of, doesn't really want to talk about it. It's gotten to the point where, we're at home, we're in separate rooms and separate beds. And quite honestly, it's gone beyond being roommates. Now it's more like 2 people that happen to live in the same building.
Where else is this showing up, Paul? And by the way, I appreciate you having the courage to call. Most men wouldn't have the guts to do this, so I appreciate you having the courage to call. I know this is happening to millions of households all over the country based on what people write in. So thank you for calling.
Yeah, thanks, John, because it is kind of difficult for me to talk about this.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys who like to take care of everything himself. It's my vocation is kind of like that kind of thing, engineering type background. And, I'm a problem solver.
Yeah.
But, so it's kind of hard to talk about this, but thanks for helping me out.
You bet, man. So I'm trying to think where to start even. I guess the thing that concerns me the most at this point is a lack of a conversation. And it sounds like she is very avoidant. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so most days I'll come home and I've pretty much been replaced by a tablet and a cell phone.
Correct.
And she's in her room, working with her, watching shows, talking on the cell phone. So there's not much conversation. Try to do different things with her, to get her out of the house, do things. We've even done power yoga with her on weekends. Learn how to play mahjong. Try to get interested in other things that we have common to get things going again.
Dude, you're really like putting in the time, man. If you're doing power yoga, way to go. Man.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. When I started that, John, it was like, oh, come on, this can't be that hard. But I'll tell you what. Respect to everybody who does that because it's not easy.
Mad respect to the yogites, man. It's tough stuff.
Absolutely, right. It takes a lot of strength. I'll tell you. But so trying to engage in things like that. But when it comes time to us being together to have a little bit more of a relationship, they're just like the business part of the marriage, I guess I'll call it. I take care of the bills. Go to work, help with the chores. But when it comes time to husband and wife time, she kind of gets defensive, doesn't want to. It tells me she's not interested in that anymore. I understand. We're in our early 60s, and menopause has a play in that.
Sure.
But
also there's some there's multiple options for walking through perimenopause and menopause these days when it comes to how well you feel, your sexual intimacy, I mean, all that stuff. So there's a number of avenues to explore if somebody's interested in those explorations.
Yeah, and when I go down that path to talk about those things, and that she just kind of gets a little bit upset, maybe acts irritated, annoyed, doesn't really want to talk about it.
So here's my deeper question, and there's an outcropping here. Two things I'm hearing. One is you've made the comments back to. Mm-hmm. And my challenge to you would be forward-looking. Who do we want to be for the next 10 years, next 15 years, versus how do we get this thing back? The actions may be exactly the same, but that future orientation for somebody who feels like I'm losing control of my body, which is what I hear from women in perimenopause and menopause. My body is leaving me, the body I knew. This idea that I'm going to get back can be seen as, I'll never get that body back. I'll never be that young spring chicken. I'm never going to be attractive again. All those things versus I'm in love with you now and into the future. Or I'm attracted to you, which is even different than that. I want to be with you now and into the future. Though you may have said all those things and done all those things, but that orientation sometimes is huge. Here's the second thing. She's not on the phone, so I just got you. Right. Being reflective, I'm hearing a woman who doesn't like you. Why would she not like you?
That's a difficult one for me to answer because I don't see me.
Okay. But if you had to guess, like would she say for 40 years he hasn't listened to me and he's just problem solved over me, and I got the kids out of here and now I want to live my life, or I had to do what he wanted to do, live in his town. I gave up my life for him and now it's mine. What would she say as to the reason, like, I just don't want to be in the same room with you. I don't want to see the bedroom with you. Because that's beneath love, and that's beneath, duty, and that's beneath sex and intimacy. This sounds like somebody who just doesn't like you. And I know that's harsh to say. It's probably the harshest thing I could say to another man. But it sounds like she doesn't like you. Where does that come from, you think?
I don't quite think that's it, John. I mean, other than talking about intimacy, very pleasant. Like I said, we do things together. We go out to lunches and dinners, breakfasts on Saturdays. It kind of seems like I'm more custodial to the relationship, where the things that she seems to be interested in now are with her old friends, with some acquaintances she's had in town. Some of the other activities she's involved in. So it's not like I don't get the vibe that she doesn't like me. I feel more like it's kind of I don't want to say, for lack of a better term, deteriorated. Like I said, instead of being a husband and wife pair, it's more like now we're two people that happen to live in the same building.
I know, and I know what I'm saying is hard to hear, but if you ran back what you just said, that's basically you just said what I said in a different way.
Okay.
She likes being with other people. She likes being with her friends. She prefers their company. She will check the boxes. She'll check the boxes with you. She will feed herself. She will live in a home. She'll do things like laundry and or dishes because that's the function of the house. But when it comes to who does she like being around, that's not you.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And let me say this. If you talk to any marriage therapist who's been doing what they do for a while, the most men can get over sexual infidelity. Men can get over financial infidelity. Men can rarely get over my wife doesn't like me, because that's such a core. What's so wrong about me? And for most men, that calls into all the way back to their childhood. Something was wrong with me that I had to go fix. And there's something terrifying about asking that question, which relationally, and this is hard, I would tell you the scariest question to ask is usually the question that must be asked. Because,
yeah, that's true.
Because if she liked you, she would at least talk to you about, hey, I don't feel good in my own body. Sex hurts right now because of menopause, or I feel like I'm crazy, or I feel like she would have that conversation. She won't entertain it. And her way of deflecting is to get frustrated or angry or annoyed. And then if she can get a benefit out of it, if it can be a trip somewhere, if it can be a meal somewhere, she'll endure it. But when it comes to something that intimate, and so that's like the biggest concern here, lots of 60-year-olds, men struggle with erectile dysfunction or women with all sorts of, physical challenges after menopause. This seems to be different because y'all can't even have the conversation. And if I were you, that's where I would start, would be like, hey, I want to have a conversation about our friendship. I don't think you like me anymore. And she'll love you. That's just, I get that. But there's a deeper, like, I don't feel like you like me. And if you start with an I statement, it becomes an invitation. And she might get upset and say, I'm going to ask you to not get upset. I'm going to ask you to have this conversation because my heart is hurting right now.
Yeah, that is how I feel. I mean, thanks for feeding that back to me, because as I hear how you're explaining this, it does make a lot of sense to me. Like everything we do is functional.
Yeah.
But it's cold. It's not intimate.
That's it. And most men, of course, everyone likes sex and everyone likes like that, but there's something beneath sex that I've come to believe after meeting with so many men and reading so much and just in my own life experience. Sex often says, you're okay. We're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And absent of that, like it just gets tough, man. And in your mind, your engineering mind, you've checked every Excel spreadsheet box possible. Finances, money, trips, food, successful kids. And then there's this like nagging question in your guts, like, what's wrong with me?
Exactly.
And I think if you use I statements and ask your wife, hey, as your husband of however many years, 40 years, 30 years, I'm going to ask you to stay present in this conversation. My heart's broken because I feel like you don't like me. Am I unlikable?
All right.
And
it's interesting too. I mean, my reactions to the way our situation now is, I mean, it brings the frustration and resentment to me because, like you're saying, I don't understand. I feel like I'm doing what I should do.
Yeah.
Yet I'm not getting any kind of reciprocation or response or anything.
Right. And it's going to sound like you're a submissive question, which I think is a great thing, but it might be a hard question. If you ask the question, how do I become more likable? Not more sexually attractive, or how can we have more sex? But how can I become more likable? How can I become your friend again?
Mm-hmm.
That will force I'll be quiet. You're my friend. But I'm not.
Right.
And how do I become your friend again? Because I know that you don't, I get the sense you don't like me. And I think for anyone listening, I'm just putting myself in your seat, man. I've had that conversation a few times I've been married 23 years. I've had that conversation a few times, and it's a nightmare of a question. I'd much rather ask any other question than that. And
yeah, you're right, because it all starts there. I mean, everybody's different, but I mean, when you get to the sexual intimacy part of it, that has more to do with how you feel about each other.
Do you like me?
Yeah. I mean, that's the core. That's what makes that unity of the husband and wife unique.
Yeah, man. And I know a lot of couples. I'll say a lot. I know many couples, if you will, that are in their 60s and their 70s. They're not sexually active, but they like each other. They're ridiculous. And the ones that I know, like personally, I'll give them a hard time. Like, are y'all seriously not doing it? Y'all are about to be dead in like 10 years. And they'll laugh and we all laugh. And they're like, you shut up. But they like each other's company. They're each other's best friend. And I think the thing here beneath the sex for me that's breaking my heart for you is y'all aren't friends anymore. And I think the hardest part for you is you've done what you knew to do to be a good provider and be a good husband. And those things are ringing hollow because the woman in your life doesn't like you, doesn't want to be around you, and doesn't want to sleep next to you, doesn't want to eat next to you unless it's somewhere nice, doesn't want to like be with you, sexual, like all those questions. And so I think getting to the bottom of, you don't like me, I'd like to be your friend. And we have 30 years left together until we pass away. Like I want to be your friend. Or the deeper question is, what would need to change in me that would make you like me? Not saying there's something wrong with you, you got to go change, but that's a way to ask that question, put it on the table, and maybe get some deeper things. So that's where I would start, man. Anytime, and this is for everybody listening, anytime there's a scary, terrifying question, That's usually the question that needs to get put on the table. And sometimes you can't just drop it like a grenade, but getting to that scariest question is often where the healing and or the revelation in a relationship challenge is. When we come back, a mom is torn between supporting her sister's lifestyle and protecting her son. All right, listen, if you're anything like me, you have recently felt it. That not so subtle shift, right? Summer's winding down, the days are getting shorter, school's back in action, and Q4 work stresses are hitting hard. And if you're like me, you're wanting to numb out more and more. We have to be intentional about protecting our sleep because here's the truth. How you sleep is a massive part of how well you feel or not. When your mind and body aren't resting, your mind and body can't reset. One of the most important things I do to stay mentally sharp and emotionally steady and able to show up for my wife and my kids and my team is get good sleep. And that's why I've been talking about Helix mattresses. Helix builds mattresses made for you, not the generic average sleeper, for you. So whether you're a hot sleeper, a side sleeper, a back sleeper, or somewhere in between, Helix designs mattresses around your needs. Get online and take the Helix sleep quiz, just like I did. It takes like 2 minutes, and they're going to match you with exactly the right mattress. Right now, my audience can get an exclusive 27% off during Helix's extended Labor Day sale. Go to helixsleep.com/Delony for 27% off site-wide. That's Helix, Helix, helixsleep.com/Delony. And tell them you heard about this right here on this show. With Helix, better sleep starts right now. All right, hey, take 2 seconds and hit the subscribe button, especially if you're watching this on YouTube. I've got some big YouTube subscription goals this year, and I want to try to hit them. And we just crossed 100 million views last month, which means only a fraction of you all are stopping to hit the subscribe button. So if you'll stop, hit the subscribe button, it would mean the world to me. Thank you so, so much. Let's go down the street here in Nashville and talk to Riley. What's up, Riley?
Hi, John. Or hi, Dr. Delony. How are you?
Oh, you can call me John. That's what.
Thank you.
It's nicer
Sorry,
than what
I'm
all my friends
nervous.
call me. No, you're good. You're good.
Great. First, I just want you to know I'm a really big fan, so thank you for taking my call.
You got it.
So this is kind of a complex issue, so feel free to cut me off if I'm rambling too much.
Cool. Let it rip.
Yeah, so I am torn between supporting my sister, who I used to be very close with, but it was mostly in my early 20s, teenage years that we were very close. There's a fairly large age gap between us, about 10 years. And then I feel like as I've matured and I became a mom and I got married, I have matured and I feel like she almost hasn't. I have a son and we live in different states, so we don't see each other every day, but our children are very close. And I would like to maintain their relationship for my son's purposes, and also just for my parents, because, I don't want to tear the family apart. However, I do get torn a lot because our values are very different. Just to give you one example, she's married to a woman who she's been married to for a really long time, and I love this woman so much. She feels like a sister to me, and they have kids together, but recently, not recently, it's probably been about a year, she opened up to us that they are in a throuple, and then that kind of has developed into, it sounds like maybe they're at a point now where just my sister and this individual are dating, and my sister-in-law is no longer involved, but I'm not totally sure because she's very difficult for me to talk to. We have a really hard time discussing issues. She kind of lives in like a victim mentality. And for me personally, like I'm a very positive person. But I think that, and we used to be able to talk about everything, but recently I feel like I've matured and grown and learned more about setting boundaries. And I'm still learning how to use those boundaries, but sometimes I come across as very cold towards her, and I don't mean to. So I know that it's hard for her to talk to me, as well as I have a hard time talking to her because she can get very mean and like uses very harsh language sometimes that I'm just, it's just impossible to talk to her. She kind of bulldozes you kind of person.
Sure.
So basically, I would like my son to maintain a relationship with her children, and I'd like her to have a relationship with my son. But I also am not comfortable with a throuple dynamic. I think that marriage is sacred, and I think that if you have issues within your marriage, it's better to resolve them than to bring in a third and kind of treat that person like a Band-Aid. I also feel nervous bringing my child over to her house because I don't know this person. I don't know that person's children who are also around. And it's my job to protect my child. He's very young. He's only 2. And, living in different states when we're in the same location, it's, we want quality time together because we don't see each other a ton. And so there's often like a request for my son to sleep over, or like there's times where it would be nice to just be able to drop my son off at her house to watch him because that would be helpful. But I also don't know that I trust that dynamic anymore to just drop my son off because I don't know those children. I don't know her partner, her new partner. And I also worry about the influence that this could have on my son. Granted, he's only 2, but I don't want this to be normalized. And when you're starting it off young, it is going to be normalized if he's always around it. So I think that mostly covered everything. There's a ton of other things, but I feel like that's a good starting point.
That's No, Riley, tell me more. No, that was a lot.
Let me tell you my childhood trauma now. No, I'm just kidding.
So I'm going to take just a big old handful of spaghetti and start throwing it up against the wall. And you tell me if what I heard in that conversation is real, okay?
Okay.
Or if it's accurate, it's a better way to say it. Thing I heard, number one, is you're mourning the fact that you loved your sister's wife, y'all had a great relationship, and for whatever reason, they've broken up, gotten divorced, added a third, but complicated a situation that you were really comfortable with. And so there's some sense of mourning the end of your sister's marriage.
Yeah, I think that's really accurate.
And your sister-in-law you loved, like she was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's put that aside. So that's me throwing spaghetti up, number one. So there's a mourning of, I liked the way this thing was going. And I liked the people in my, we talk all the time, marry somebody that the rest of us will like too, right? And your sister did. Her wife was awesome. And then this whole other thing happened. Then number two, you're concerned about the sexual ethic of adding multiple people. I don't know who's in that house. And I don't like the threesome or throuple. And for those of you who don't know what that is when a married couple or a dating couple decides to add 3. So everybody's dating each other and equal parts or some form of an arrangement. And for you, I don't want to be around that, right? I have ethical issues with that arrangement. That's number 2. The third one is I'm not dropping my 2-year-old off in a world that's got kids coming and going, other adults coming and going. There's just no way. And then the fourth one is I freaking miss my sister. I can't hang out with her. We can't talk anymore. You mentioned several times about how you're wiser or you've gotten more wisdom. There's just this dynamic that each of you feels above the other, and she probably feels more enlightened than you, and you're with your simpleton mind, and you feel more ethical than her. But at the end of that, underneath it all, I miss my sister.
Yeah.
So those 4 things, do they nail it a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Okay. So I think what the challenge with this is, and then you add the politics on top of the throuple, and you add, if you're a person of faith, how that intertwines with everything. And then you're the odd man out because you love your sister's wife, but you don't like this arrangement. And so you're one group of your friends doesn't think that even the gay marriage is okay. And then the other group of friends thinks anything goes. So you find yourself all by yourself in this, right?
I don't feel like I have anyone in my life that has issues with a gay marriage.
Okay.
It's simply just the throuple. I am a person of faith, but I'm not super involved in the church community.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
So,
All right, so I missed that one. So I threw that one up against the wall. I just didn't stick. It fell on the floor. So there we go.
Yeah.
So the challenge here is all of this gets mushed up into one big knot in the middle of your chest. And the reason I think it's important to pull it out is to pull it apart is the scariest thing of all of this is, and I want to hone in on this one first, is the safety of your kid. And I don't think that a 2-year-old being around an aunt that has different life choices is going to imprint this on them or normalize it. I don't think that. But I am worried about the safety of your kid coming and going. I would not drop my kid off in a house that's where I don't know the kids, I don't know the partner, I don't know. I wouldn't do that. Absolutely wouldn't.
Yeah.
And that's just me being around, working with young people my whole career and hearing the stories of abuse from, not from the friend at the sleepover, but the friend's brother or the friend's brother's friend, right? And just the further that extended circle goes, the less safety there is. And so, yeah, I think you are dead on that.
Yeah.
Then I think you gotta grieve the loss of your relationship with your sister.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you make your way back to that beneath all of these different layers. But sometimes it's just a matter of a phone call or a voice text or even a text message that says, I miss my sister. And that may not respond well at all. That may be like, who knows how she responds to that. But I hate that for you.
Yeah, it's I feel like there's been a lot of this has been the distance between us has been growing since before the throuple even.
Sure.
You know, I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like we just have grown into different people. We've had a lot of different life experiences, especially given our large age gap.
And you have, and you should have. The challenge is like letting go of the fantasy that we're still little girls in the house together, which will never really work because you'll have a big age gap. But like this idea that sisters are supposed to have very similar lives. And there's this other woman in my life who's also my sister, who has a very different world than me, but I miss her.
Yeah.
And it's letting go of some of the stories that we tell ourselves about what sisters are supposed to be like and what hanging out is supposed to look like and what our lives are supposed to be like, but letting reality kind of drive this, which is how many years apart did you say?
About 10.
Yeah, we're 10 years apart, but I miss my sister.
Mm-hmm.
If you sent her a message that said, hey, I miss you. Like, for the last few years, we've been growing further and further apart. I know I played a role in that, but I miss my sister. Is there a chance we could get together? What would she say to that?
I think that she would be open to it. I do, because she's, you know, I know she feels the same way. I just worry about what would happen after that. I think that there was a part of my life, I think she's moved on from this, but there was a part of my life where she placed a lot of blame on my husband, saying that he changed me. And that was really hard because you never want your family talking badly about your chosen partner like that.
Sure.
And I think that I hold on to some resentment from that. So that's something I need to work through. But also I worry that she might pull that on again. And I don't want to do that. You know, I just wish that we could just have like a normal sister relationship, like where we're friends. I just don't feel like we're friends right now. And I don't know that if she wasn't my sister, I don't know that I would choose her as a friend.
I know with uncertainty that you would not.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes, what does that mean? And does that mean you grieve this relationship and kind of let it go to the wind?
It's just hard to imagine doing that because of what that could do to my parents. Like, I don't want to be...
You haven't done that. Your job isn't to perpetually keep your parents propped up. And you probably learned that at a young age too, but that's not your job.
Yeah.
And if your parents' happiness and well-being is contingent on their two daughters who are 10 years apart with radically different lives and who have treated each other in different ways over the years, somehow manufacturing or duct taping together some sort of relationship that doesn't make any sense, that's their issue to deal with.
Yeah.
There's a kindness in being cordial, right? You don't fist fight at Thanksgiving if mom and dad asks y'all to all come in, but there's just a reality. We're 10 years apart. We live in different states.
Mm-hmm. Do you think then that like it should be like a formal conversation of like, I think that we are living different lifestyles, and like, it's just not something I'm comfortable with my son being around anymore. Or do you think I should just continue to be cordial and just
No, I would flip it all the way around. I always want to use I statements whenever I can.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm very protective of my son, and I don't let him spend the night where there's going to be just kids I don't know and other adults I don't know. That's on me. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
You don't have to get into lifestyle stuff. You don't have to get into dating choices. You don't have to get into the sexual ethics of thruples. You don't have to get any of that. I don't let my kid do X, Y, and Z. Doesn't matter if it's a friend from school. Doesn't matter if it's a friend from church. Doesn't matter if it's a friend from, like, one of your friends. I just don't do that. Oh, he's going to be fine. He'll be fine. I know. This one's on me. I just don't do that. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
I think another thing that I'm afraid of is, if there's no one at the house and she's just like, well, it's just my kids and, my wife at this point, because, the third isn't always there. What I have a fear of is, what if something has already happened with one of her kids, and what if they do something to my son? I know that's like spiraling, but like
here's what your big fear is. You're still desperate for your sister to approve of you, and you have to stop.
Yeah, I know that's really accurate.
You have to stop. You're making yourself crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're honest, and she has chosen to not be your friend, or chosen to just live her own life, and her sister is just like, hey, what about me? What about me? What about me? You have to grieve that like the loss that it is. That you're so desperate for her approval that you're willing to, give her just miles of rent-free real estate in your mind while you're worrying about things, you're imagining things, and then you're imagining things on top of those imaginations, creating story after story after story. You're having imaginary conversations with her where you, like, imagine yourself responding to her and then getting indignant about her response back to you, and none of that stuff has happened. And now you're imagining imaginary potential maybe abuse of a situation that may have happened that may turn. Man, you are making yourself nuts. And at the end of this, you're just trying to please somebody. And the only path forward I see is one of two ways. One is you write her a letter, don't send it, but you write her a letter saying, I love you and I wish you the best and I understand you don't want me in your life. May God bless you. And then you weep like you haven't wept before. Or you call her and say, I miss my sister, and more importantly, I miss my friend. Can we be friends? And friends don't agree with everything. Friends don't do everything the same way. Friends don't listen to the same music all the time. Friends don't stay up as late as each other. Friends don't drink as much as each other does. Friends don't have the same sexual ethics as each other does, or the same they're like the same things with their kids. They're still friends, same team. And you being able to take responsibility, not, I would like you, but you do that. I just don't do that with my kids. I miss your wife. I miss your, I. And that's you taking ownership. And that starts with you saying, I want to be someone that I love and that I respect, and that my life isn't going to be about trying to get other people to like me. And that's a hard place to be. Thanks for the call, sister. Thanks for the call. We come back, a man is struggling to grieve a tragedy that didn't directly affect him, but is really weighing on him heavy. Hey, it's Delony for Hallow, the #1 prayer app in the world. Right now, we're juggling work, family, and a million other things. And in all of this chaos, we often forget to pause and reflect and even pray. Creating peace in our life doesn't just happen. We have to choose it. We have to be intentional to make space for it. And that is where Hallow comes in. Hallow provides you amazing opportunities to slow down and reconnect with what matters most. One of my favorite features on Hallow is the Daily Reflections with Jeff Cavins, because he helps you connect scripture to real-life joys and real-life challenges. Or if you're struggling with anxiety or feeling overwhelmed, Hallow offers mental health meditations and prayers that I have found useful and I use. From healing emotional wounds to establishing healthy habits, these guided prayers give you words of comfort and longing when you're all out of things to say. If you're ready to find some peace in the chaos and some purpose in your day, check out Hallow. And right now, when you sign up at hallow.com/Delony, you get 3 months for free. That's hallow.com/Delony for 3 months for free. All right, let's go out to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and talk to Joshua. What's up, Joshua?
Hey, Dr. John.
What's up, man?
Man, well, I just want to say it's an honor to get to talk to you, and it's kind of weird hearing your voice over the phone and not on YouTube. So,
Well, I appreciate you calling, man.
absolutely. Well, my question is, how do I, and really, I guess my family and I grieve something that hasn't directly happened to us in a way without making it selfish? So, I'm referring, to the flooding that happened in Central Texas and the tragedy at Camp Mystic. It's just weighed really heavily on mine and my wife's heart, and we're not sure, how do we grieve that well, and how do we grieve that appropriately?
Tell me where the judgment of your grief is coming from.
I think part of it is just seeing how people have reacted to tragedy, like on social media in the past, just the way they've made it about, like, oh, look at me, look how sorrowful I am. This is all about me. And I just, like, I don't want to be disrespectful to those who have lost loved ones when I haven't. And it almost feels guilty crying over somebody else losing children who I don't know and have no relationship with. Like I've cried over friends who have lost people before and have grieved those around me who have walked through hard times. But I think just having something so distant and grieving so heavily over it, it almost feels like I'm not allowed to.
Yeah. Where does that voice come from, man?
Like, I think I just get irritated seeing people make tragedy about them and about how they're feeling, and it almost feels like they're trying to shine light on themselves and not show compassion for those around them.
So can I say something real hard to you?
Yeah.
It sounds like your chief fear is that other people are judging you as harshly as you judge others. One of the things I've learned, and this comes from a great friend of mine named Link. Him and his wife experienced a pretty traumatic pregnancy loss, very close to term. And then my wife and I went through one of our miscarriages, which was much earlier in the term. And him and I were talking, and he was on the crisis team with me. He's just been a good mentor of mine. He's ahead of me. He's been being a mental health professional longer than I have. And I remember us talking, and I stopped and I said, during our conversation, I said, yeah, I know what we went through is not near as bad as what you and his wife went through. And he stopped me. And he said, loss is loss is loss. And I'll never forget those 3 words. Like, hurt and pain is hurt and pain. And when we judge how other people are experiencing it, I don't know. Here's the deal. There are people who use tragedy for their own personal gain. Politicians, we saw that happen. It's disgusting and gross.
Yeah.
They did it within 10 minutes. They were politicizing it, right? And there's real, I've got friends and family and community members in Texas. I've got family members that were deeply affected by this, lost everything. Like, I've a vested interest in this, and there's real blame to go around. And there's also it rained 30 feet, like, right? All that to say, if your heart is with those hurting parents, there's no judgment, dude. Cry your eyes out. I have. My kids have been at a camp ever since that happened. One of my kids has been away from my house at a camp. I haven't had everybody back in the house yet. And I haven't slept yet. Not well. And so I hope every parent grieves deeply at the loss of somebody else's child. Do I think it can be gross that people put on social media? Yeah, I just don't even pay attention to it. And so my hope is, as a parent, you and your wife as parents, I hope y'all are kept up at night by the loss of kids. I hope you look around your local community and say, where can we get involved here? I hope you say, I don't know why I'm crying because our kids are okay, but one time this happened, this reminds me of a time our friends' kids got lost, and loss is loss is loss. Pain isn't some zero. And where can we make sure our communities are safe? Where can we make sure our kids are safe? Where can we send $30 to, or $50 or 3,000? Like, where can we do a little bit of, put something in the hat to pass around to help out? Like, I think all of those are human experiences. And yet, if you're judging how other people are grieving, you're always going to feel judged when you grieve. And so the challenge there is not that you figure out a way to grieve right, but that you, in your spirit, decide, I'm going to stop judging people. If they're sad and heartbroken and weeping, I'm going to weep with them too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think part of that is even more, I think the more social media component than anything else. Like, I think that's where I judge more than having personal interactions with people. And I think that's kind of where my folly is I don't need to use social media as the gauge for that.
I think 1,000% you're onto something. Or to put it differently, now I'm from Texas, so it's a little bit easier for me. I got off of social media and I started making phone calls to people.
Yeah.
And that connected me directly to what was going on. And my wife and I are in a silly season of blessing, and we put our money where our mouth is. And my wife got in the car and drove across the state, and I kept the house together while she was down helping family. Like, so, like, you get involved where you can get involved. And if you don't know anybody in Texas and you don't know like, you can get off social media and find a local music artist and buy one of the t-shirts and put some money down there. And I mean, there's just a million ways to get to be supportive, but I think you're right. And by the way, can I give us all some grace? If there's a tragedy and and kids are lost, we as parents would be nuts if we weren't transfixed to that, trying to figure out ways to make sure our kids don't get lost someday.
Yeah.
And when 30 feet of water rise up in less than 20 minutes or whatever crazy thing happened out there in Texas, it's unnerving because they can put sirens in and they can do that kind of stuff, fine. But there's not a lot you can do. And that's a terrifying notion for parents. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And sometimes, I can tell you this, there's a couple of times when I was doing crisis work when I would show up to sit with parents who had lost kids, and I would go in, this is before my daughter was born, but I would go in to my son's room when he was really little and he'd be sleeping, and I would just go hug him in the dark. Because there was nothing I could do. I just needed to put my hands on my son and be sad.
Yeah.
And be grateful too. Both.
Yeah, I did that after we had heard the news, and my wife and I were really broken up about it that weekend. And just in the evenings, like we were out of town, and I just, like, I couldn't help just looking at my kids and just thinking, like, what if that was them?
That is a right response of a parent. It's a right response. And if somebody chooses to take that response and put it all over social media, I'm not gonna consume it, but I'm not gonna spend 1 second of energy trying to dig into their mind and spirit about their motive. I'm gonna go on about my day and see where, if any place, I can be of a support or assistance. And if this were to happen in Northern California, I just made up something. I know some people there. I'm trying to think of a place. I don't know anybody. In South Dakota, I wouldn't be able to call somebody. I don't know anybody there, right? I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't know the organizations to send money to. I wouldn't know what to do. And so it's right to feel helpless in my house here in Nashville. It's right to want to hug my kids extra. And all those things are right and good. It's that next step of trying to judge how people are grieving that I don't have any use for, I don't have any interest of. Loss is loss is loss. And as David Kessler says, grief is like a fingerprint. It's different for everybody. So if people are screaming in the street, I'm going to give that to them. And if they're silent and go into a closet in their house, I'm going to give that to them. And if they want to post about it or blog about it, I'm going to give that to them, because people grieve differently. And I'm going to move on with my life. I will speak out against disgusting politicians that try to use every horrible thing as a way to improve their standing. I think that's gross, and I think it's inhumane. But when it comes to moms and dads just grieving the loss of other people's kids, dude, grieve how you want to grieve, man. And yeah, get off social media and then do something in your life. Here's a couple things for grief. Write a letter, put money on the table, and go find something to do in your local community. Here's something silly. Get your kids together and get a trash sack, and y'all go for a long 2-hour walk and pick up trash in your neighborhood. Go find an organization in your local community, and you and your kids, just for an afternoon, go do a thing. There's something about it's a stress cycle, but if you go do a thing, if you go do a hard thing, you go exercise, you go spend some time serving somebody else, it literally works the chemicals out of your body, the cortisol and the adrenaline that should fire in every parent when kids are under attack. And so finding a way to channel this instead of just scrolling. That would be my highest recommendation there.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And maybe if you want to do something, I used to do this and I just stopped. It became overwhelming. But every time there was a shooting and kids died, or every time there was a loss of kids, I would read their name on the show. You can go back to some of the earlier episodes, and I wanted people to hear their names. And for me personally, there's an experience saying their names out loud and recognize them as whole beings. As I have a 9-year-old little girl, man, she would have been in one of those cabins, right? And I was a camp counselor growing up in college. I would have had to make the decision, do I break the window out and walk these kids out here up in neck-deep water, or do I just ride it out? I mean, I put myself in that situation several times just as a thought experiment. And it's daunting. It's terrifying, right? All of us have been there. And so maybe getting the list of those girls off some media site and writing a letter to each one of them that you'll never send. And just let them know, hey, I am going to be the best dad to my kids ever. Wanted you to know. Your loss reminded me of the importance of life and how precious life is. And I'm going to be the best freaking dad that's ever lived. And my kids, Susie and Jim, they're going to have a dad that loves them to the moon and back. Right? That may be a way to process that grief.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately, end of all this call, get off social media, man. Just it literally adds nothing. After the initial what's going on, and there is a news aspect to it, I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off and go look around my home, look around my neighborhood, look around my community, and say, where can I be a person of support? So thanks for the call, my brother. I'm really grateful for you. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Real quick, before we talk about what we have to talk about, in light of that last call, there's a couple of, I'm just thinking of a couple of opportunities to put money in and buy a t-shirt if you want to support the flood efforts. My buddy, he's a country music star in Texas named Aaron Watson. You can look him up on social media. He is a great friend, high man of character and trust. And he's got a t-shirt that he's selling that the proceeds will go directly to that. Buddies in Bowling for Soup, the old pop punk band, Jarrett and that crew have a t-shirt that you can sell. Kelly found one that is supportive of, I've never said this before, and will I say it after, but the Astros and the Rangers. Tell me about that.
So the Astros and the Rangers both they had a shirt created that has both logos on it, and it says Together for Texas, that they've been selling at both stadiums and wearing for batting practice.
Great. So you can get that online too. So even if you just want to buy a t-shirt and all the proceeds are going to go, t-shirts, cost like $5 or $6 to make. So if you buy it for $30, the rest of that money goes to support flood recovery efforts and all kind of stuff. So that's just a couple of things that I'm putting my money towards, and I want to encourage you all to do something. $10, $20, $30, you can donate there to Texas. Or if you got more, that's awesome. All right, Kelly.
Yes.
I got a bone to pick with the internets.
So do I.
We recently had a caller who was going through a nightmare scenario. A, she'd made some poor choices in her life. B, she was really struggling in a profound way. And ultimately, I reached out to you and to Chris, the head of the network here, and said, hey, we need to turn these comments off, or we all check and see if we need to turn these comments off, because I'd gotten word that there was just some vile, just awful stuff people were piling on to this person. So tell me about what you saw. I didn't even see him. I was driving.
Yeah, so this happened over the weekend. Got a text from John. He'd gotten a DM from somebody about the comments. So looked at them, and I was shocked and I will not repeat the things that were said because we would get taken off the air.
Yeah.
They were, the personal attacks against who she was as a person, the names that she was called, the worst names you can call a woman were in there multiple times.
Kelly. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm trying to lighten things up a little bit,
And
but yeah, it was awful.
It was disgusting.
Yeah.
It really was. That, this was clearly a woman that was struggling. But who cares? Even if it wasn't. People are so brave behind a screen and a keyboard.
Yeah.
And it was stuff you would never say to someone's face. And it was disgusting. And it really left a bad taste in my mouth. And we turned the comments off, and we'll do that because we're not going to let people that are brave enough to call into this show get berated like that.
Right on.
So if you're listening and that was you,
don't.
Shame on you.
Yeah, don't. And that brings into a larger thing in my head. This show's going to come out a month later, but we're just a weekend after the Coldplay incident. Was there some hilarious memes after that? Yes. I laughed. There's some funny stuff out there. But the public pile-on, the public shaming, which is as old as time, right? People getting dragged out to the public square and locked in stock so that everyone could walk by and point at them. Our collective, ooh, look at them, is so powerful and yet so disgusting. And here's why. Both of those people who got caught cheating on the Jumbotron have kids. They cannot show their face anymore. A, because their parents did something stupid, fair. In a public setting, fair. And because we all just decided to go, look at them. Same with, I won't go down the rabbit hole. There's just been so much public shaming, and I think it's a way to make us all feel better. Kind of like that last caller, I feel really bad, but I don't want to be one of those people that grieves like that. And we have this just public shaming thing wired into us. And I guess if I would tell everybody is, dude, just stop. Just stop, man. If that makes you feel better to pile onto somebody, to blast somebody with an ugly comment, go talk to somebody because you need some help. If there's a funny meme, you can laugh. That's funny. But the public just gross pile on, man. It's just, I don't know, dude. It's just grossing me out these days. It feels like that's the soup du jour, and I'm kind of over it. I'd rather somebody blows up their life. I don't know. I'd rather us pull up a seat and say, man, here's a drink. Come tell me what happened. And versus, I don't know. I just think it's the worst parts of us. So, is what it is. So, that's me and Kelly's public lecture of the day. Don't pile on. Be kind. And if you get mad about something, if you get ugly about something, here's this awesome thing you can do. Just change channel. Just scroll another direction. Ta-da! Try that. Love you guys. Bye.